At number 7, the Chiefs taking Notre Dame stud back Jeremiah Love at number 9, the Heisman finalist. Booger, how do you see that potential fit Fernando Mendoza to the Raiders?
I think it's an outstanding fit. Understand this. I think if you're Fernando Mendoza, the one thing he does well, he processes information at lightning speed. And I've often said, for a quarterback, it's not about how fast you run. It's not about how tall you are. It's not about how far you can throw the football. Can you process information and throw the football accurately? He does that as well as anyone that we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years. And so I think if you're Tom Brady, if you're John Spatek, if you're Mark Davis, the Las Vegas Raiders brain trust, you got to ask yourself, is this a guy that we want and we can build our team around? I think Fernando Mendoza is going to be outstanding. I think his personality is going to fit well in Las Vegas, and his ability to process information, I think, will lead to him being an outstanding professional quarterback.
You're looking for a winner, he checks that box. If you're looking for character, he more than checks that box.
Mendoza heading to Vegas as the first overall pick, followed by the Jets taking linebacker Arvell Reese after Dante Moore decided to stay at Oregon. The common theme throughout this mock draft is Buckeye representation, as 3 Ohio State players are projected to land in the top 10. And look at who we have here, the man behind the mock, Mel Kiper Jr. We saw him earlier today, now we get to see him now to break it down. So you have national champ Fernando Mendoza as first overall. Can you kind of break down exactly how you see him in relation to past surefire number 1 overall picks?
Christine's going to be right there grade-wise. Think about Joe Burrow and what he was able to do coming out of LSU. A lot of people say, well, he has great talent around him, right? Remember, he was a 5th-round pick going into that final year at LSU. And what did he become? A great quarterback at LSU and then a great quarterback in the NFL. Fernando Mendoza at Cal wasn't considered elite, right? He had sacked 41 times, had some things to work on. Goes to Indiana, and look what happened. Week after week after week. And I want to see how it played out with Dante Moore and Mendoza in that game. You saw Mendoza really, I think, benefit Christine from those 35 starts. Remember, Dante only had 20. Dante's only 20 years of age. Going back to Oregon, a wise move. Fernando's 22, will be 23 in October. That experience paid big dividends. Late in plays, he always made the right decision. That's what really impressed me, and certainly for the Raiders. Be thankful you have the first pick in the draft, because in the ASC and in that division, you better get a big-time quarterback, and Fernando Mendoza has a chance to be one of the best in the NFL.
Okay, so Mendoza is the first quarterback off the board. Obviously, you had Dante Moore at number 2. He's no longer going to go into the draft. So tell us which quarterback goes next and why.
That's Ty Simpson. I went back and I looked at what I was saying about him in September and October, Christine. It was really positive things about how he was performing. He saw it, he let it rip. He had his legs were beating defenses on 3rd down. He could do that. He was going into hostile environments like Missouri and Columbia and making clutch throws. Against Vanderbilt, complete passes to 8 different receivers. Brian Williams didn't have a great year. The O-line struggled. He had no running game. And late in the year, he had 5 fumbles over a 7-game period, right? His performance wasn't what it had been over the first 9 games, where he was 21 touchdowns and 1 pick. Late in the year, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks, 2 against Eastern Illinois, throw 1 away. But at the end of the day, he wasn't performing at the level he was the first 9 games. But if you balance it out, middle of the first round made sense. The concern's the 15 starts. That's all. That's a dangerous number, but he's 23 years of age. And like I said, the first 9 games of the year, he looked like maybe a top 10 pick. I have him going 16 to the New York Jets, right around where Mac Jones went, who I believe, and Ty Simpson, you're going to get a faster, more athletic Mac Jones.
Okay, so the Jets picking number 16 overall and number 2 overall, those 2 picks in the first draft. On your big board, you have running back Jeremiah Love as number 2 in terms of talent, but where do you think you project him in the draft order?
Could have gone 3 to Arizona. Could have looked at the New Orleans Saints. I went to a team that is usually supposed to be picking 32 and may well be down the line because of Patrick Mahomes, right? It's Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame, a true game breaker, explosive. He had 8 runs this year of 24 or more yards, 8 runs 2 years ago of 35 or more yards. This kid had 18 touchdowns. He catches the ball out of the backfield very well. You put him out in the slot, he'll do a job like Reggie Bush was able to do. Jeremiah Love at 9. You get the second best player, I believe, in this draft, the Kansas City Chiefs, to put him with Patrick Mahomes. I know they hit on Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round, but hey, Jeremiah Love is special. Like I said, you can be on the 20-yard line. He can go 80 yards in a blink. He did that in college. He'll go back to the Indiana game 2 years ago in the playoffs. So Jeremiah Love's special talent, running back philosophy. Don't take one the first, but you grade on ability, not philosophy, Christine. That's why at 9, to get the second player on the board at that point for a positional need area for the Chiefs. They're not going to pick 9 much. much. Nobody thought that. Thought maybe 31 or 32. They hope to get back to that, and Jeremiah Love may be able to help them do exactly that.
All right, you can see Mel's full mock and his big board right now on espn.com. Draft season, and Mel Kiper Jr. released his first one today. No surprise that he has Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza going first overall to the Raiders. The Vegas ownership group of Mark Davis and Tom Brady were in Miami watching him in the championship game, and the Heisman winner delivered, leaving no doubt that he is at the top of the board. Now, after Mendoza, the Jets were looking at Oregon quarterback Dante Moore, but he announced he's staying in school. So now they're projected to take Ohio State linebacker Arbel Reese at number 2. The Giants, they give John Harbaugh a new weapon in Ohio State receiver Carnell Tate at 5. And very interesting, the Chiefs are projected to take Heisman finalist Jeremiah Love at number 9. We now bring in the man himself, Mel Kiper Jr. to the show. Field Yates is here as well, by the way.
On the undercard, let's be honest, America.
I know, I felt like it was so excited for Mel, but we're also excited to have you here. Mel, let's start with you. Mendoza, definitive number 1 overall pick. Is that true?
No question about it, Christine and Field. He's done everything needed. I think about the 4 biggest games of the year: Big Ten championship game, Ohio State, and the 3 playoff games. 10 touchdowns, 1 pick, 9 passing, 1 rushing, 74% completion percentage for Fernando Mendoza. I got to believe Tom Brady, he's the greatest quarterback of all time, is going to make this pick. You need a quarterback. He's going to make the pick, and he's going to, I think, have a very high grade and a very strong opinion, Field, on Fernando Mendoza in that division with all the great quarterbacks in the AFC in general. You need this type of guy. They would have been wishing, talk about trading out, forget about it. They would have been wishing that they would have had that first pick. I didn't be picking 2 or 3 or wherever. They have their first pick. You got a guy like Mendoza falling right in your lap when you need him the most, Field. You take him, and then you move forward with a lot of positivity.
Okay, you just heard what Mel said, obviously. Yeah. But they have a lot of roster issues out there in Vegas. So do you think that they should shop the number 1 overall pick?
No, absolutely not. They should take Fernando Mendoza. I know it's not dramatic 3 months out to state that the first pick is already over, but we are on to the New York Jets. You're on the clock now at number 2. Listen, there are ways in which you can achieve a relative ceiling with a very good roster with an average quarterback, but the apex ceiling, the ability to compete for championships, will be determined by a team having a quarterback you can build your entire franchise around. In the meantime, before the Raiders think about championships, though, they got to get a floor as well. I mean, the bottom fell out from this roster last year when Geno Smith devolved into one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the entire NFL. Fernando Mendoza is the northern star for this franchise going forward, and some of the pieces they already have in place, whose value dropped this year because of the chaos and circumstances around them, specifically Brock Bowers battling through an injury and Ashton Gentry battling behind what was perhaps the league's worst run-blocking offensive line, will look much more similar to the players that we believed they could be coming out of college, or what Bowers was during his rookie season, with a much higher level of quarterback play next year.
Okay, so the Jets, they have the number 2 pick, but Mel, the next quarterback off of your board is the Jets taking Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson at number 16. It's their second pick in the first round. Why is that?
Went back to my notes, Christine, and Field. I said, okay, it's easy to get caught up in the struggles, okay? When the offensive line wasn't get done, Ryan Williams not playing to the level expected, and no semblance of a running game, and place all the blame on a quarterback who had 5 fumbles over a 7-game period late in the year, right? And 7 touchdowns and 4 picks, 2 of which came against Eastern Illinois. Easy to get down on. So go back to your notes. Mid-October, I had him at 16 on the big board with an arrow moving up. After 9 games, 21 touchdowns, only 1 pick after 9 games, okay? So this is a kid, I go back to the Missouri game, hostile environment, making clutch throw after clutch throw. Vanderbilt game, throwing the complete passes to 8-9 different receivers, okay? Didn't get a lot of help late in the year, and then, of course, he had the injury in the playoff game. But the bottom line is, trust what you saw when he had a little bit of help, and he was playing at a high level. He showed it over a 9-game period. I think he's deserving of being a pick at this point in the draft. I call him a more athletic, faster version of Mac Jones. Where did Mac Jones go? 15 to New England. Off to a great start in New England. Now he's doing pretty well in San Francisco, filling in for Purdy. Field. I think it'll be a really good pick for the Jets at 16.
It bothers me to say this, Mel, but it's actually the perfect landing spot, both in terms of the team and also the range here for Ty Simpson. Obviously, the Jets have a dramatic quarterback need. They've got lots of opportunities to take a swing at a quarterback with all the draft capital they have now and going forward. Ty Simpson's range, I think, is going to end up being around the middle of the first round by the time we get to April 23rd. There's going to be some movement on the veteran quarterback market. Some teams will plug their hole at that position, but there's going to be some buyers. On top of that, to your point, Mel, listen, there was enough good tape in the first half of the season that Ty Simpson going somewhere in the middle of the first round is not a crazy thought. But the difference between going 16th overall and going first or second overall might be like $30 million.